Indian Army has initiated a large-scale mission to eliminate 2 terrorists associated with the Lashkar E Tayyiba terrorist group. This operation is carried out within the densely forested and hilly terrains of Kokernag, located in Anantnag district of South Kashmir. Remember these gunshots obviously being heard, visuals from earlier in the day, and it's the same location that witnessed a grim incident on Wednesday when 3 officers of the Indian Army, including Jammu and Kashmir police, lost their lives in the gunfire. Colonel Manpreet Singh, the commanding officer of the operation, succumbed to the injuries, while Major Ashish and DSP Humayun sustained critical injuries, but later too they also succumbed to their injuries. And this particular operation that is underway as of now is being jointly operated by the Jammu and Kashmir police and the Indian Army.
जो राष्ट्रीय राइफल्स की जो ऑपरेशन का जो एरिया है वो जम्मू कश्मीर का और एलओसी के आसपास का पूरा जो एरिया है वहाँ पर है। तो जो ये जवान इसमें जो ड्यूटी करता है, खास तौर से उसको जो टेररिस्ट होते हैं उनके अगेंस्ट या फॉरेन टेररिस्ट यानी कि बाहर से आया हुआ आतंकी, उनसे लड़ने के लिए भी खास तौर से ट्रेनिंग दी जाती है। मतलब जो कल की भी अगर हम घटना की बात करें तो लश्कर ए तैयबा का उसमें संलिप्तता थी, यानी कि फॉरेन टेररिस्ट थे। तो फॉरेन टेररिस्ट से लड़ने के लिए भी खास ट्रेनिंग दी जाती है जवानों को।
टेररिस्ट इज अ टेररिस्ट। हम किसी का रंग देखकर ये नहीं कह पाएंगे। ये मेरा अपना एक्सपीरियंस है। मुझे कभी भी फायरिंग के दौरान ये डिस्टिंग्विश करने का शायद मौका नहीं मिला, या मैंने ध्यान नहीं दिया, या रिएक्शन टाइम इतना कम था कि पहले मैं उसके आंख में आंख लगाकर देखूं, उसका रंग देखूं कि ये अफगानी है या नहीं। इतनी देर में तो वो मुझे मार देगा। आई एम ट्रेंड कि अगर सामने से किसी ने मेरे ऊपर फायर किया है या मैंने उसके पास हथियार देखा है, किसी को ह्यूमन राइट्स नजर आ रहा हो वो लगा ले, मेरे लिए ही इज अ टेररिस्ट। अगर आप जेएनके में हथियार लेकर घूमते हैं, मैं आपसे पूछूंगा नहीं, मैं फायर कर दूंगा। लेकिन फिर भी हमें ये एक तरह से मानना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि हमारी फौज इस बात को मानकर चलती है कि अगर वो अफगानी टेररिस्ट है, फॉरेन टेररिस्ट है, तो ये ज़रूर समझा जाता है कि ही इज़ अ वेल ट्रेंड। उसको गोली चलाना नॉर्मल से ज़्यादा आता है। जो लोकल टेररिस्ट है उसके पास इतना मौका नहीं होता कि वो एक अच्छी खासी ट्रेनिंग लो, जिसको बोलते हैं ना टेररिज्म हार्डन्ड हो। वो टेररिज्म को अच्छे से समझता है, वो एम्ड फायर करना जानता है। उसे मालूम है कि अगर कोई लीड कर रहा है तो ये उनका अफसर होगा, तो वो चुनता है कि जो आगे को आ रहा है। वो स्टार्स देखता है, वो जिस तरीके का चाल बाल ढाल है उससे भी वो समझता है कि मैं टारगेटेड किलिंग कर सकता हूँ। दैट इज़ वाई हम देखते हैं कि जब भी कभी हमारे किसी अफसर की शहादत होती है तो उसमें कहीं ना कोई फॉरेन टेररिज्म का हाथ ज़रूर होता है। कि यस, मैं मानने को तैयार हूँ, दे आर वेल ट्रेन्ड, दे आर डाई हार्ड टेररिस्ट, दे आर वेल एंट्रेंच्ड। अगर वो जिस जगह से लड़ रहे होते हैं वो छोड़कर एकदम भागते नहीं हैं। लोकल टेररिस्ट इस मामले में कमज़ोर है।
So, Ryan, there we heard it from Colonel Shailendra Singh telling us what is it that happens in situations like these. Aditya Raj Kaul, my colleague and strategic affairs editor for News9, joins us here, and Major General Sanjay Meston is also there with us. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking time out. Aditya, we spoke last evening and we speak once again. Obviously, the tragedy that has unfolded can't be expressed in words, but what is it that you are picking up from the ground as of now, and where this operation is headed?
Well, it's been close to 36 hours now, Pankaj, and we've been waiting. We've been waiting for the terrorists to be eliminated. Unfortunately, India, woke up today to this very, very unfortunate news about 3 lives being lost, 3 officers being lost, 2 from the Indian Army and 1 from the J&K police, a very young, fine officer from the 2018 JKAS batch. So the question right now is, how long will it take for the security forces to eliminate the terrain that we are talking about right now is a little difficult terrain. It's a rocky, hilly area, forested belt that we are talking about, and the approach of the security forces is from bottom to top, and the terrorists are very well at the top, manning the heights and clearly have the foliage to in fact cover them completely. What exactly happened yesterday morning was that there was an intelligence input from an intelligence agency to the Indian Army and the J&K police that there have been some intercepts that terrorists are roaming around in this particular area, and when the security forces led by the CEO and the DSP actually were climbing towards that actual path, immediately they were ambushed. They were not expecting it, they were not in their positions, and there was complete chaos. In the initial burst of fire, the CEO was hit, and immediately within minutes he passed away. Thereafter, there was firing continuously from at least 2 to 3 or 4 angles, and there was at least 2 others, including the DSP and the Major, who were hit, but they immediately radioed in to their headquarters and to others who were present there that they've been hit and they need to be rescued by a chopper. Immediately, choppers were rushed in. In the meanwhile, the firing continued, and there were many more who were hit as well. There were some who tried to escape and had fall injuries in that area. So there are at least 4 to 5 soldiers, both from the police and the army, who are also injured and are recuperating right now inside the 92 base hospital. The choppers, while they were being rushed in, could not land because there was continuous firing that was happening from the side of the terrorists. They made attempt at least 2 to 3 times. Gradually at 6 p.m. last evening, the DSP was rescued, but unfortunately he had passed away by that time. It was only this morning that the colonel and the major from the Indian Army 19RR were finally evacuated from there, but unfortunately they had laid down their life for the country as well. As I said, there are many more injuries as well. They are recuperating. The TRF, Lashkar E Tayyiba's offshoot, the Pakistani terror group, has claimed responsibility for it, and they've said that Mohammed Riaz, a Pakistani terrorist who was killed in POK recently, this is in revenge for the same. As of now, there are fears that if the operation continues for long, the terrorists could again take the route and escape into the forests. But the operation is very much underway. The top brass of the Indian Army and the J&K police are very much there in Kokernag, Anantnag. And let's hope that the terrorists are neutralized soon.
Major General Meston, obviously I hope we spoke in better times than these, but as my colleague Aditya tells us, it's a sordid saga, and obviously security forces being ambushed, something that these terrorists are well trained for. We also heard, Colonel Singh speaking about targeted killings. We have seen this happening in case of the civilians, but do you believe, in your experience, is this also a trend or something that the terrorists are asked to or trained for or given the assignment to target high-ranking officials?
Pankaj, very true. See, more news is made when you target senior officers.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So that is point 1. Hire the person, more news, more publicity, and they achieve their ends. So therefore, they have been trained quite well. I would rather say that they have been occupying dominating heights, and from these dominating heights, they had a good observation. As brought out by Aditya also, the foliage is very, very dense, extremely dense. And therefore, they have a little advantage because they are in higher reaches. So obviously, because once you are deployed or based on a higher platform, your visibility is much better. And from the lower side, where the army is approaching, it is very, very difficult. Now, I'll highlight certain practical aspects. One is, Aditya made a point that this operation may last long, and also probably they could also look for some escape routes. I agree with this point one, operation may take long. Why? Number one, we would avoid any casualties. We know, firstly, one of the terrorists is confirmed that he is a local of that place.
Uh-huh.
So obviously he knows the terrain 1,000 times better than what we know, because army is not operating in every inch of ground. So he knows the folds of the ground, the
Right.
hideouts, everything is well known, and therefore he will keep doing leapfrogging along with his other or maybe three people. So they will give mutual support to each other. So there is a kahavat in the army, one leg on the ground. That means you have to have one person supporting you to cover your move. So these people are well trained, they are covering the move of each other, and therefore they know the terrain so well, so it is to their advantage. Now, can they escape? My personal views is no. Reason being, despite the area being very thick jungles, I have studied the map also, and these areas one has been. Now, I have actually on the map measured the perimeter of the base, the foothill, and it is approximately 10 kilometers. So that means the army would have placed all around cordon. This is a hill which
Yes.
is not connected to the other hill. So
Okay,
that
so they have
advantage
to
we
come
have,
down.
and we would have placed a total cordon in the entire area. And the cordon, the outer cordon, the best advantage is that no ingress or no one can egress from there. That is the
Right.
first advantage.
Uh-huh.
Second advantage is that this place does not have any village. The village is on
Okay.
the low foothills or in the valley, but there is no built-up area in the so-called jungles.
Right.
So that is an advantage. So there is no problem of collateral damage. Next is we keep moving for the inner cordon, and there would be certain places where we would have closed in quite a bit, but now we have to maintain caution, because our troops would be dispersed, and it should not happen that by any chance, by any mistake, our own troops fire at each other, especially during night. So good communication, everything has to be, and we have to maintain the same cordon distance and same distance from the target area. Now the target also, they have been cornered. Now it is how long they will last. Firstly, their dependency is based on two factors: ammunition. Number two is food. Now, food and ammunition, I know these people are well trained, and since these people know the area so well, so they would have dumped food or stored food in various places. So they would have visualized if this operation takes place, whenever it takes place, they would falling. So there, I would say,
Right.
finally they will be reaching on the top. They will get napped, but it is going to be time consuming. Now
Right.
we have night vision devices. We have everything
Drones
available.
also.
We are having drones. Again, the limitations is night vision devices, especially in thick foliage, thermal imaging, etc. We really cannot see anything because it requires a clear line of sight. Now, coming on to drones, even drones when they are moving, you can actually hear some sort of a drone noise when it is approaching. You just hide under a tree or a bush, the drone will not pick you up. So they have lot of terrain advantage.
Difficult terrain.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this will take time, but
Right.
yes, the way the operation has happened, it is a solid loss to the Indian Army. And on the plus side, I would say that the intelligence was joint. That means the police and the Indian Army were involved in it. We got a very good intelligence, as brought out by Aditya. Second is the operations were conducted jointly, and especially when there are civilians involved, we take the police people.
Right.
And here is a DSP who has again been involved in this operation. And the third good point is, today, whatever is happening in the country, we are only having some narrative of religious discourse and religious ideologies. But here you see, army
Right.
from all walks of life, police from all walks of life. Here is
Are
a
doing their
foundation.
duty.
They are
Indeed.
Muslims also. The soldier has died.
Indeed,
So we
indeed.
have
That diversity is always there. Absolutely, Major Meston. Stay with us. Aditya, now, as General Meston mentions, there are certain aspects of intelligence on the ground. There are certain aspects of local support that is there. You have been covering strategy and the armed forces for a long time. You come from Jammu and Kashmir also. Help us understand about Anantnag or forward areas like Rajouri, where more often than not we keep hearing about encounters. What is the specificity of that place?
Although Pankaj, I would admit that in 2023, terrorism has been in an all-time low. If we take all-time for about 10 to 15 years.
Right.
So it's been win-win for the security forces and for the government really. Only about 35 to 37 terrorists have been killed, in which majority have been Pakistani terrorists, which we call FTs. There have been very few locals who have been eliminated, but that doesn't mean that terrorism is not on ground. There's a large level of OGWs, which is overground workers, who've been helping Lashkar E Tayyiba, Hizbul and Jaish-e-Mohammed. But continuously the top brass of Lashkar, Hizbul and Jaish has been eliminated by the army, JNK police, and of course from inputs sometimes from the intelligence agencies as well. So there's been a setback continuously that the Pakistanis have been facing. Infiltration also is at an all-time low. Radicalization is happening, but not as much as it happened 5 years ago. So as of now, the situation is much better. I heard General VK Singh also saying yesterday that this terror attack is sad, it's tragic, it's a setback, but that does not mean terrorism is being revived or it's almost like a Pulwama-like situation. But of course, there will be internal, not investigations, but trying to understand that whether SOPs were followed, whether what could have been done better, what kind of intelligence was received, how it was transmitted and how it was carried out on ground. Because as General Meston also mentioned, that it was a joint operation of the JNK police and the army. It was not like a lone, military operation or a lone police operation, which also happens sometimes. So this was a joint operation, it was a joint collaboration. Later there will be some kind of an internal understanding as to what really happened. But as of now, the priority for the leaders of the military and the police on ground is to trace and neutralize these terrorists.
Right.
It's a Lashkar E Tayyiba commander that we are talking about. They know the terrain very well. They have escaped into the jungles, but cannot escape for long. That's what I meant when I said escaped. So I don't think that they will be able to run for long. The military, the special forces, the SOG of the JNK police, and of course in the outer periphery, there's CRPF as well, who are very much there. Anantnag is among the top 5 terror districts, I would say, in the Kashmir Valley presently.
Okay.
The others being Kulgam, Shopian, and of course Pulwama and others. As of now, Srinagar and Badgam, I would say, apart from Baramulla, are the most peaceful. There are positive developments that have been taking place there. As I said, infiltration traditionally was happening from the Uri and the surrounding areas in Kupwara and Handwara as well. But it has more so shifted in the last 1 to 2 years towards Rajouri, Poonch and other side of the Pir Panjal.
Well, absolutely. As we head towards winters, Aditya and Major General Meston, obviously, the strategy, if I could ask you, Major General Meston, when we talk about the infiltration aspect of this terrorist activities, obviously they have taken shelter at times, in the snow, in the higher reaches. What is the strategy that the army generally adopts in order to tackle that scenario from happening?
See, the strategy which is adopted by the army, firstly for any operations, including counter-infiltration, we have to have very, very accurate and sound intelligence. Actually, everything is based on specific intelligence. Now, this intelligence, we have our external intelligence, RAW, etc., the IB, and the military intelligence and the local police. And let me tell you, my personal experience is one of the best intelligence within the hinterland is from the local J&K police.
Right.
They have very, very good information, and therefore the lateral sharing of information is the first strategy. Sometimes, because it happens sometimes, because if there is a specific intelligence, a particular force would like to take credit.
Right.
Sometimes, sharing does not take place, and this is sometimes it has a follow.
Indeed.
But the first strategy is to have a intelligence grade. Second is counter-infiltration grade. Now, the counter-infiltration grade, we have people deployed. See, the terrain is again so dense, And I
Absolutely.
have been in all areas, Kupwara, Kandhar, Chokibal, and the Uri sector, and also Rajouri, Lam sector. Lam is the famous Lam Khoreta Valley, and further down towards
Absolutely.
Akhnoor.
Absolutely.
So in all these areas, the terrain is very, very thick. It's very, very mountainous, and especially if you go on the higher reaches of Kupwara, the
Yes,
terrain is
yes.
bad, above 13,000 feet. But then the areas are, you rightly pointed out, snowbound sometimes. There are certain posts of the Indian Army that are also winter vacated.
Not an easy
So
job, indeed, Major General Meston. Not an easy job in those desperate terrains. Gentlemen, thank you so much. We have completely run out of time as of now, but we'll be bringing you all the latest from Jammu and Kashmir as far as this Anantnag encounter is concerned. Thanks for watching.
Pakistan is actually genociding Baloch people. So being Baloch is a crime. If you are a Baloch, it means in the eyes of Pakistan, you don't have any right to live.
The Chinese and Pakistanis are colonizing the Baloch.